Naruto and Sasuke were in hell. Not literally, but if there was a circumstance one could concoct that would be close in similarity to hell, the one they were in was the closest they'd ever been. Naruto and Sasuke both looked worse for wear as their clothes were torn, cuts and bruises aligned their faces and bodies, and they were certain that they would be sore afterward if they made it out alive. Their opponents, despite their somber faces, were no worse for wear. In actuality, they were in perfect condition due to the infamous jutsu created by the Nidaime Hokage, Edo Tensei, impure world reincarnation. Naruto-chan, said a concerned Kushina even though she was the main one putting the beating on her son. Are you okay? Naruto blew out a deep breath to calm himself as he nodded his head. Of course I am. Just have to find a way to beat my incredibly strong mother is all. No big deal. Well, you are doing a terrible job at it then. You're much stronger than this. I can feel it, said Kushina as Naruto prepared a rebuttal. Kachan, you're super strong. And what do you mean I'm doing a terrible job? I'm giving it my all, said Naruto as Kushina shook her head. Before Kushina answered, Sasuke decided to for her. She's right, Naruto, said Sasuke while wiping the trail of blood from his mouth. He stood at full height behind his best friend who turned an eye to him. You haven't been going all out, and neither have I. Makoto nodded her head in agreement. This is true. My eyes are the best in the world. I can see that you both aren't utilizing your full potential, said Makoto before turning to Naruto. I mean, you haven't even used your Jinchuriki power. Naruto blanched at that realization. She was right. Not once had he even contemplated tapping into Kurama's power. Seeing your mother had your mind scrambled. Naruto arrived in his mind to see his bijou. You've been taking it easy on your mother without even realizing it. So you can spend as much time as you can with her if I were to guess. I understand you want to see her, but if you keep this up, you will lose the ability to finish her despite her. Naruto considered everyone's words as he looked up into his mother's concerned eyes. Naruto breathed out another calming breath before nodding his head. You're right, all of you, said Naruto as a fiery, orange chakra shroud began to cover his entire body. Seal markings began to appear across his body as his eyes turned a vibrant orange. Kurama is right. I wanted to spend as much time with you as possible, Kachan. Now I understand, so I'm sorry for what I have to do. I feel the same. However, I died and wished to be back by your father's side. His soul finally came to the place where mine was, and I would really enjoy going back to him. Sasuke walked up next to Naruto as Naruto held a fist out towards him. Fist bumping with Naruto, Sasuke's body immediately became shrouded in a red, bubbly Jinchuriki cloak. Sasuke smirked, feeling the potent chakra flow through his body. Just like old times. Let's do this, said Sasuke as he placed his hands in the tiger seal. Naruto nodded his head before placing his hands in the ram seal. Katan, Gameu Enden, fire style, toad flame bombs, said Naruto, shooting out a torrent of oil at the same time as Sasuke's stream of fire. The fire and oil combined into a potent mixture as it exploded on contact in the small space between the two Edo Tensei reincarnations. Smoke clouded the area around the two mothers as Naruto and Sasuke waited to see if their attack hit them. Sasuke, 8 o'clock. It's Makoto, said Naruto before creating 10 clones all clad in their own Jinchuriki cloak. My clones will stall her while we take care of Kushina first. It'll be better to split them up and take them two at a time. Seeing that Kushina would be more difficult, we'll take her first. Sasuke nodded at Naruto before following after the Jinchuriki. Seems you've grown into a leader over the years, Naruto, thought Sasuke as they approached Kushina. And this transfer of your bijou's chakra is impressive. That fireball was at least 3 times more powerful than I'd ever done before. And you've been handling chakra this powerful all this time? How good are you now? Kushina came to a stop after splitting up with Makoto to evade the jutsu to see Naruto and Sasuke approaching her. Kushina blocked Naruto's punch before receiving a harsh kick to the side of the head from Sasuke. However, another one of Kushina's chains appeared, blocking the powerful kick from the Uchiha. This is a good plan. To split me and Makoto up while attacking one of us in a 2-on-1 situation. Now you're thinking, said Kushina before she heard a swirling noise behind her that only one jutsu made. He learned Minato Kuin's jutsu. Hit with the signature jutsu, Kushina was sent flying across the room. Noticing the Naruto in front of her had latched onto her with a bear hug, Kushina prepared for the worst. Bunshin Daibakufu, clone great explosion. Thought Naruto as the clone attached to Kushina exploded. Sasuke landed next to the original Naruto as he looked impressed at the display. Naruto, that was quite the sequence, said Sasuke as Naruto looked to check on the condition of his mother. The smoke from the clone exploding died down as Naruto looked at a crazy sight. Nice combination. You would have had me if not for this? Said Kushina, now cloaked in the same bubbly chakra as Sasuke. Seems my mother managed to steal my clone's chakra, said Naruto, amazed at his mother's ability. Naruto blanched when he received the rapid-fire memories from his clones. Sasuke, your mom just destroyed all of my clones in one swoop. And you won't believe the how. One swoop. Sasuke turned to his mother and his eyes went wide. You're kidding me. How? Makoto jumped into view shrouded by a vibrant yellow chakra. I've seen a lot of things in my time, Sasuke-chan, including my own best friend's death. It happened the night of the Kyuubi attack, said Makoto as her eyes could be seen now. Her Sharingan's design was now 3 thin lines inwardly swirling towards the pupil and 3 thicker swirls in the same manner. Susanoo. The yellow chakra shroud around Makoto was a spectral image of a humanoid being more human in appearance than Sasuke's version. The Kyuubi chakra-shrouded Kushina landed beside Makoto in her Susanoo as they prepared to face off against their sons again. Well, this certainly makes it interesting, said Naruto as the orange shroud around him grew to form the upper body of a chakra Kurama. Naruto and Sasuke in Naruto's Kurama avatar stood opposing Makoto and Kushina standing in Makoto's Susanoo. If this were a picture, it'd be awesome. Am I right? Huh? Anybody? The other 3 smiled before the 4 began sprinting toward one another. The battle wasn't over just yet. With Jiraiya and Orochimaru, a huge explosion rocked the area as Orochimaru came flying out of the smoke cloud with Jiraiya coming out of the other side. Both of them were holding a different hand seal as they each prepped a jutsu. Senpo, Kabari Senbon, Sage Art, Hari Needle Senbon, said Jiraiya as he landed on all 4s with his hair protruding past him. Pointed directly at Orochimaru. The hair on Jiraiya's head hardened as he sent a continuous wave of sharpened hair follicles turned needles directly at Orochimaru. Orochimaru smirked at the impressive speed of the jutsu but just was a bit too slow as his own jutsu countered it flawlessly. Senpo, Futon, Daitapa, Sage Art, Wind Style, Great Breakthrough. A violent and sudden gust of wind picked up immediately behind Orochimaru toward Jiraiya. Due to the force of the wind, the needles that were traveling toward Orochimaru stopped in midair and turned back for Jiraiya. Oh shit! Shrieked Jiraiya, being picked up by the gust of wind as he was tossed back into the wall by the wind and hit hundreds of times with his own hair needles. Orochimaru smirked at catching Jiraiya off guard. Jiraiya sat perfectly in the Jiraiya-sized crater in the wall, groaning in pain as his own hair needles bounced harmlessly off of his skin. Jiraiya moved out of the wall as he looked at Orochimaru. Didn't know you had that up your sleeve. Cuckoo. It seems your sage mode gives you extra powers, said Orochimaru with a grin. Your skin is like steel now, I see. Heh, told you toads were better than snakes. All you got were those stupid horns and that purple eyeliner that runs all the way down your back, said Jiraiya with a smirk as he noticed Orochimaru place his hands in a weird hand seal. Actually, I have a question for you. How are you using jutsus? Enma said Sensei stole your arms with the Shinigami. Of all the things your sterling disciple is, he is ever clumsy. I'm assuming that he one day found the Shinigami no Men, Death God mask, said Orochimaru as Jiraiya looked up in remembrance. Flashback, 6 months ago. Naruto, where are we? Questioned Jiraiya as Naruto pointed toward the rundown building they just walked up to. This? What is this? Oh, there's a sign. Uzumaki clan's mask storage temple. Jiraiya formed an O with his mouth as Naruto nodded his head. Am I right? Why did no one know about this? And if they did, why didn't they tell me about this? Even if it wasn't proven at that time that I was an Uzumaki. My last name was Uzumaki for Kami's sake. Well, your mom is Uzumaki Kushina. And you're the only Uzumaki I've seen since her. I guess it is yours. But why are we really here? Naruto tapped a hand on Jiraiya's shoulder as they vanished in a shunshin to the inside of the building. Sheesh, it's dusty in here, said Naruto after landing in the tiny building with Jiraiya. Naruto looked around for a second before he noticed the thing he was looking for. Jiraiya looked over to see Naruto picking up a mask. Is that the Shinigami's face? Shouted Jiraiya in a slight panic as Naruto nodded. What are you going to do with it? Wait, is this what I think it is? I remember Minato talking about it one day, which means you know I'm going to free the souls of those trapped. Meaning, Sarutobi Jiji, Hashirama Jiji, Tobirama-sama, my dad, and the other half of Kurama, said Naruto happily as Jiraiya looked intrigued. Other half of Kurama? Kurama said Dad had to split his chakra in half. Half with him and the other half with me. Jiraiya gave a nod. Plus, you told me what Jiji's monkey summoned said of him using it as well. Continued Naruto as the markings of his Sage Mode began to appear on his face. And I'll need Sage Mode if I ever hope to not die. Might want to stand back, Jiraiya-sensei. No worries about me. I'm sure I'll be fine. You usually are. But if I do die, tell everyone I'll miss them and I'm sorry for doing something so stupid. I can do that, said Jiraiya as he watched his student attempt to commit a dangerous and potentially suicidal act. Something he'd likely get blamed for by those who care about Naruto since he could have easily stopped him. However, Jiraiya is indeed faithful in his student and hopes that he knows what he's doing. Naruto placed the mask on his face as his arms immediately strung up parallel to his shoulders. Shiki Fujin. Kai, Dead Demon Consuming Seal, release, said Naruto in a possessed voice. An image of the Shinigami appeared behind Naruto as it pulled its spectral sword out of its sheath. The Shinigami then proceeded to rip a large hole through its stomach, allowing several souls to freely float from it. Jiraiya looked impressed by the display until he noticed Naruto appear to be cut almost in half. Whoa, Naruto? Questioned Jiraiya in fear at the sight of his disciple laying face down in a steadily growing pool of his own blood. Naruto. Jiraiya approached the motionless Naruto before noticing something off. Naruto, you're not even close to dying, said Jiraiya as Naruto continued to stay still lying down on the floor. Maybe I'll just tell Yujito about what you just did. I think she'd like to know about this near-death experience. Naruto immediately sprung up off the ground with nothing but a large rip through his shirt as he shook his head no. I'm cool. How dope is my Sage Mode though? Regeneration is amazing, said Naruto as Jiraiya smiled that his student was fine. Alright, so now what? Asked Jiraiya as Naruto put his hands in the ram seal. One of the souls, the largest one in the room, flew into Naruto as Naruto's eyes shut closed and his body glowed bright orange. You feel that, Kurama? Questioned Naruto in his head as he could practically feel the grin on Kurama's face. I definitely feel it. Welcome back. Naruto appeared in his mindscape as he looked at Kurama. Naruto smiled before feeling a presence behind him. A very familiar presence. Yo. Came a voice that eerily sounded just like Kurama's. Naruto turned around to see another Kurama standing there, although this one had darker fur. So this is Naruto. It is a pleasure to meet you. Naruto looked the second Kurama up and down as he grimaced slightly. Yo, how do you already know about me? Questioned Naruto as the darker-furred Kurama pointed toward the regular Kurama. So you guys already synced or something? It's been like 3 seconds since you got in here. Both Kuramas looked at Naruto with a deadpan expression. You do realize that the human brain processes things at a rate unfathomable to comprehend. Meaning that hours in here are barely even a second in the real world, said Kurama as Naruto nodded his head in recollection. Forgot about that. Anyway, this is going to be creepy. Are there really going to be 2 Kuramas in my head? Questioned Naruto as he noticed only one Kurama standing there now. His original Kurama was all by his lonesome once more. Wait, you guys merged? You're kidding me, right? How did that happen so fast? Never mind. Unfathomable to comprehend. Wait, You got big. The lone Kurama in the room nodded his head. This was my actual size before your father took the half of my chakra. Now I'm back to normal and I feel damn good. You should get back to the real world while I remember how great I was. You still have work to finish, said Kurama as Naruto was firmly ejected from his mind. I didn't even know he could eject me from my own mind. Maybe it's because he got stronger? After all, his other half of chakra is back, said Naruto as he noticed Jiraiya looking at him. Oh right, that was the half of Kurama that Dad stole during the Kyuubi attack. I have assimilated it and I feel awesome. Like, more awesome than usual. Naruto flexed his chakra and got Jiraiya to buckle at its increased potency. Anyway, being that these are the souls of the previous 4 Hokages and Orochimaru has DNA of them and knows Edo Tensei, we'll have to seal them. Just in case he manages to reincarnate them somehow, with one of his lackeys or anything. Sounds good to me, kiddo. Glad you're all right. But weren't there 6 floating soul things? If you absorbed one and there's only 4 here now, what happened to the last one? Naruto shrugged his shoulders. Beats me. All I know is that the 4 that matter are here and that's all that really mattered in the first place. By the way, are you buying lunch? Questioned Naruto as Jiraiya grinned. The last one to the restaurant pays. Go, said Jiraiya as he hightailed it out of there, leaving Naruto all alone in the room. You're a cheater, and I still have to finish the sealing, said Naruto as he then realized something. We never agreed on a restaurant. Flashback end. That extra soul there, those were your arms, said Jiraiya as Orochimaru nodded his head. Since your actual soul is still here, it must have been drawn back to it. Meaning we never would have been able to stop it once it was freed. Yes, how incredible of him to find that for me. I'd been looking for it since Tsunade turned me down those years ago, said Orochimaru, who was still holding that same hand seal. And your Sage mode isn't the only one that allows other abilities. Jiraiya felt the entire room begin to shake as the floor and walls began to liquefy. Senpo, Muki Tensei, Sage Art, Inorganic Reincarnation, said Orochimaru as the room began to branch out to attack Jiraiya. Jiraiya looked shocked by the jutsu but managed to leap out of the way due to the sensory abilities granted to him through Sage mode. You can't get away, Jiraiya. I own this whole room now. This is my territory. Jiraiya jumped high into the air as he nodded his head. That's impressive. Can't lie, said Jiraiya, biting his thumb as the room continued to approach him to attack him. Kuchios, summoning. An enormous poof of smoke appeared around Jiraiya as the room entered the cloud to attack him. Orochimaru waited patiently as he wondered whether his attack got to Jiraiya before he could get out whatever he was trying to summon. It all proved for naught as the room that was once attacking Jiraiya was being fought back by a powerful jutsu from the white-haired Sannin and 2 small toads attached to his shoulders. Senpo, Gomen, Sage Art, Bath of Boiling Oil, said Jiraiya as he was blowing out a stream of oil, which combined with the fire being spewed by the toad on his left shoulder and the wind from the toad on his right shoulder. Feeling the intense heat of Jiraiya's jutsu, the room reverted to its original inanimate form as Jiraiya's technique came splashing down around Orochimaru. Seeing the danger, Orochimaru leaped away onto the wall opposing Jiraiya. As Orochimaru landed, he was met with an enormous ball of chakra that he knew well. Cho Odama Rasengan, Ultra Big Ball Rasengan, said Jiraiya, now beside Orochimaru holding an enormous Rasengan in his hand. The jutsu connected cleanly with Orochimaru, who was sent sailing back down into the ground below them, right into the boiling oil. Jiraiya looked down at his once friend who was melting in the boiling hot oil. So, you're finally going to do it, Jiraiya-chan? Questioned the small toad on Jiraiya's right shoulder. Seeing Jiraiya nod, the small toad nodded as well at whack. Ow, what was that for? Questioned Jiraiya, who was taken out of Sage mode for a second before regaining it almost immediately. Why'd you hit me, Fukasaku-sensei? The small toad, Fukasaku, was holding what appeared to be a walking stick as he explained himself. Didn't me and Ma tell you ages ago to take care of this? And now you wait until he can use Sage mode and all that nonsense. You just made it harder by not finishing it earlier. Don't worry, Jiraiya-chan, I understand, said the other toad, getting Jiraiya to smile. Thank you, Shima-sama. I'm glad one of you understands. Whack! Stop hitting me! Exclaimed Jiraiya after being hit by a rolling pin from Shima. Pa's right. You should have taken care of this ages ago. Now we have to deal with this creepy guy. This is all your fault. Don't worry. We'll fix it today, I promise. Orochimaru will be dead by the end of this battle. Whack! Jiraiya had 2 more knots on his head, due to the combined attack of Shima and Fukasaku. Are you both done now? Can we get on with hitting Orochimaru rather than me? Questioned Jiraiya as the 2 toads looked at each other. Okay, let's do this, said Fukasaku as the 3 sages looked to see Orochimaru standing up in perfect condition, having regurgitated another of himself while Jiraiya argued with the 2 toads. What do you think, Jiraiya-chan? Can we take him? That's debatable, said Jiraiya as the 2 toads listened intently. While I'm sure we can batter him around for several minutes, let alone hours, and come out winning, it would do no justice as his sage mode won't run out. He's continually drawing it in even while moving, and since I have you 2 now, I won't ever come out of sage mode either. And us hurting him does nothing if he can just cough up another one of himself. I'm at a loss, really. The 2 elderly toads considered the words as they watched Orochimaru look toward them with a grin. Genjutsu. We'll need to use Genjutsu Ma, said Fukasaku as before Shima could argue about not singing in front of people, he stopped her. We have to. It'll be the only thing that'll work on him. Fine, said Shima as she placed her hands together along with Pa. You better not laugh at us, Jiraiya-chan. And we'll need some time. Stall him as long as possible. Jiraiya nodded his head as his eyes never panned off of Orochimaru's. So Rochi, said Jiraiya as Orochimaru blanched at the nickname. How are you gathering senjutsu while on the move? That has to be the most impressive thing I've ever seen besides how fast Naruto can enter Sage mode and the length at which he can sustain it on just 1 juice up. Naruto knows senjutsu as well? I'll have to make sure he's dead by the end of this, said Orochimaru as he smirked. But a power I assimilated from an experiment of mine. Yugo is his name and his body naturally attracts senjutsu. It's quite impressive. Cultivating those cells into myself was easy, and it granted me the ability to stay in sage mode whether I move or not. But no more stalling. I will kill you and those pint-sized toads on your shoulder. Orochimaru picked up his dropped Kusanagi blade from earlier in their fight as he sprinted back up the wall toward Jiraiya. Jiraiya breathed out an enormous wall of fire as Orochimaru immediately responded by sending out a huge torrent of water. Steam clouded the area for a second as Jiraiya came back into focus a few moments later with Orochimaru right upon him. Jiraiya ducked a sword strike that would have split him in 2 as Jiraiya needed to continue to move or be struck by the legendary blade. Jiraiya sidestepped a straightforward stab by Orochimaru before being kicked abruptly away by the snake Sannin. The kick, while blocked, propelled Jiraiya into the wall as Orochimaru's sword grew to stab Jiraiya from across the room. The Jiraiya in the wall looked shocked at being stabbed before he dispelled in a poof of smoke. Orochimaru looked not surprised at the shadow clone as he knew it'd take more than that to kill Jiraiya. You may be a fool, Jiraiya, but I will respect your skills as a shinobi, said Orochimaru as he heard Jiraiya chuckle, though it seemed to come from everywhere. Thanks, Rochi. I am pretty damn good if I do say so myself, said Jiraiya now coming back into view from the floorboards of the room. Kukukuku. Well, it seems like those toads on your shoulders are building up for something, said Orochimaru as he held the bird hand seal. Why not ruin their concentration? Senpo. Hakageki no Jutsu. Sage Art. White Rage Technique. A dragon-like entity came flying out of Orochimaru's mouth that was carrying a small blue orb. Jiraiya was prepared for the fast-paced dragon and put his hands up in an attempt to block. However, the dragon stopped about several feet from Jiraiya before coiling around on itself. As it did that, the orb in its hand glowed brightly as it let out a deafening noise and blinding light. The 3 toad sages immediately felt the effects of the jutsu. This jutsu, it's not only meant to constrict the senses of vision and hearing, it's also to create temporary paralysis. My bones feel like they are grinding together, thought Jiraiya as he noticed Orochimaru sprinting toward him. How can he handle this environment? A snake has the ability to close off the cornea in its eyes, so the light doesn't bother me. And since I've assimilated the abilities of Suigetsu's clan, my body can handle the intense vibrations caused by the noise. I'm the only one who can move in these conditions, said Orochimaru as he neared the motionless Jiraiya. Orochimaru reached Jiraiya as he struck the paralyzed sages with several debilitating blows. Each, Orochimaru then booted Jiraiya away as he stalked the down-toed sages who were still laying there feeling the effects of the jutsu. Several snakes began to crawl out of Orochimaru's sleeve as they began to head toward the necks of the three. The snakes struck the sages as the blinding light and deafening noise disappeared to just meager faint croaks. Orochimaru looked giddy that he'd been able to finally get Jiraiya. Orochimaru closed his eyes to blink and upon opening them, noticed himself trapped in what appeared to be a cube of water. Looking to his left and right, Orochimaru saw he was surrounded on all four sides by giant stone toads. Appearing in the field in front of Orochimaru was Jiraiya with the two toads on his shoulders still. Orochimaru wondered what was going on. Is this genjutsu? How? I'm in sage mode. Jiraiya chuckled before grabbing one of the stone swords from the statues. Well, Rochi, these 2 pint-sized toads on my shoulders whack WSK Jiraiya sighed as 2 knots formed on his head again. Shima-sama and Fukasaku-sensei have been sages for a long time. In that time, they've learned new abilities. One being Megan, Gamma Rincho, Demonic Illusion, Toad Confrontation Chant, a very powerful genjutsu that immobilizes anybody within the sound of those croaks. Orochimaru's eyes widened in recollection as he had heard those croaks when he thought he finished off Jiraiya. But I'm a sage. The influx of senjutsu should cancel all genjutsu? Questioned Orochimaru, appearing afraid for his life for the first time in a long time. While that is true, genjutsu doesn't work on a sage, regular genjutsu. However, this is a senjutsu-enhanced genjutsu and as such, affects you, said Jiraiya as he positioned the sword over Orochimaru's heart. I'd love to continue this chat, Orochimaru, but this is long overdue and there's no need for more words. I beat you, and now you're dead. Goodbye, old friend. No, this can't be. I've done everything.
I'm immortal.
I can't perish here, shouted Orochimaru in his mind as the sword above him began its descent. Naruto and Sasuke versus Kushina and Mikoto. The Kurama avatar was headed toward the yellow Susanoo as the 4 figures inside prepared to clash. The chakra constructs locked hands as Naruto held the ram seal. I know how to deal with Susanoo. Mokutan, Mokoryu no Jutsu, would style, would dragon technique, said Naruto as a large wooden dragon appeared from the ground and surrounded Mikoto's Susanoo, immobilizing it in the process. As that happened, Sasuke jumped out of the chakra construct as Naruto put his hands in the snake seal. Katan. Goka Meshitsu, fire style, great flame destruction, said Sasuke as his chest puffed up in preparation for his jutsu. Mikoto shook her head at Sasuke's attempt. This is Susanoo, Sasuke-chan. Despite being weakened by this dragon, you won't be able to get through this with that fire jutsu. You'll need something better? Thought Mikoto as she felt the ground beneath her and Kushina's feet rumble slightly. Kushina jumped away immediately to dodge, but Mikoto could not get out of the way in time. A branch came flying out of the ground as it latched around her arm tightly. Mikoto was flung out of the safety of her Susanoo as Sasuke let his jutsu fly. The stream of fire came out extremely fast as it neared the defenseless Mikoto. Just as it neared her, Kushina appeared as she put her hands in the ram seal. A seal spread out on the ground before her as Sasuke's jutsu was drawn to it and promptly sealed within the ground. Fuka Hoin, fire sealing method, said the Kyuubi-cloaked Kushina as the seal turned black once Sasuke's jutsu was finished. Kushina then put her hands in the tiger seal. Kai, release. The seal that absorbed Sasuke's jutsu glowed red as the fire stream that once came from Sasuke was now headed back toward the Uchiha. Sasuke never moved as Naruto appeared next to him in a shunshin. Mokutan, Hobi no Jutsu, would style, wood expulsion technique, said Naruto as a large, dragon head made of wood rose from the ground and enclosed Sasuke and Naruto within to shield them from the fire. Once the fire died down, the dragon's head split back open and shifted back into the ground as Naruto was seen still holding the snake seal. Seems Naruto is done playing around. He's using jutsu after jutsu. I can barely keep up, said Makoto as Kushina nodded her head in agreement. Here comes another one. Mokutan, Jukai Koten, with style. Nativity of a sea of trees, said Naruto as behind him a torrent of trees sprang forth from the ground as they headed toward Kushina and Makoto. The two mothers began to dodge the continuous waves of trees as they eventually landed on one once they stopped. Sasuke and Naruto both appeared in front of their own mother as they began a fast-paced taijutsu battle. Sasuke lashed out with a punch at Makoto as she dodged the first strike but couldn't stop the next punch or kick that booted her away. Sasuke looked down at his chakra-enhanced body. This chakra from Naruto's bijou makes me incredibly fast and strong, said Sasuke with a noticeable smirk as he headed off into the trees to find his mother and finish this fight. Naruto appeared in front of his mother as she lashed out with a punch expecting his arrival. Naruto caught the punch in his palm as just like before one of Kushina's chakra chains appeared from behind her and headed toward him. Right before hitting Naruto, a branch grew from the tree they were standing on to block the fast chakra chain. Kushina smiled at her son, realizing that he was showing his full potential as two more Narutos appeared on either side of him. The second Naruto planted a firm punch into the stomach of Kushina as the first Naruto performed a leg sweep to knock the hunched-over Kushina into the air. The third Naruto grabbed one of Kushina's legs as he tossed her violently through several of his own trees. Naruto then headed after his mother with the two clones running right next to him. He was prepared to finish his fight as well. With Sasuke found his mother getting up from the earlier kick. Makoto was getting up, flowing through hand seals as she ended with the tiger seal. Katan, Ryuin Hoka no Jutsu, fire style, dragon flame song technique, said Makoto as she sent out several large fire dragons at Sasuke. Sasuke sparked with lightning to respond. Chidori Nashir, Chidori Current, said Sasuke as lightning sparked around him that deflected the large dragons headed toward him. Sasuke never stopped his attack as he continued toward Makoto. Just before getting to her, Sasuke was halted from actually hitting her. Tsukiyomi, Moon Reader, said Makoto, placing Sasuke under her Mangekyo enhanced Genjutsu. Sasuke fell unceremoniously on the ground behind Makoto as she breathed out a sigh, not thankful that she stopped him but saddened that she was able to get him. I'm sorry, Kachan, said Sasuke, getting Makoto's eyes to widen. Sasuke pierced Makoto through the heart with a Chidori as she was now paralyzed and began to decay slightly from the powerful strike. I can't let you stay alive for any longer. It's okay, my baby boy, said Makoto, turning to see Sasuke's Mangekyo Sharingan. That was how he escaped her Genjutsu so easily. Before you seal me, I'm sure you want to know about what happened the night of the massacre. Sasuke's eyes widened. What? I already know what happened. Itachi probably won't tell you because it was an S-rank mission and he has some type of plan. However, I have no such restriction and I feel you need to know. And I want to hear your answer. With Naruto found his mother recovering from his last attack as he approached her. Kushina saw her son coming and attempted to lash out with a punch only for one of Naruto's clones to grab that arm. Kushina attempted with the other only for it to be halted as well by Naruto's second clone. It is over, Kachan, said Naruto, causing his tree to open slightly. Kushina sunk knee-deep into the sturdy wood before it locked her in place. Naruto's clones then morphed into the tree, becoming branches, as they held Kushina's arms down. The Kyuubi chakra shroud surrounding Kushina was absorbed as Kushina was left helpless against her son. My sweet baby, said Kushina as Naruto let his Jinchuriki cloak disappear, realizing all he had to do now was seal his mother. I don't know what to say, so I'll just leave you with this. I'm so glad you grew up into a healthy young man. I'm happy that you have a friend like Sasuke, and I'm sure you, if you have found one, have found a girl just like your mother. And finally, I'm happy that you were born to me and Minato that day. You're everything we could have hoped for and more. I love you. A few tears began to glisten in Naruto's eyes as he wiped them away before they could actually fall. You're right. I have grown up well, mainly thanks to Sandaimjichi. Even Jiraiya-sensei and Tsunade-bachan have helped. And you're right, I did make good friends, great friends really. And there is a girl whom I am smitten with. I even told her I loved her. And don't worry, She's just as headstrong as you are. I wish you two could have met. I'm sure you'd have liked her." Kushina smiled at her son with tears forming in her violet eyes. "So you don't blame us for anything? I could have let Minato live. You would have had a father, but I started Kushina before a hand from Naruto stopped her. "There's no need, Kachan. We can't change the past, nor should we want to. I'm happy. I'm happy to know I was loved by my parents. And I now know it for sure. I may have never gotten to meet you when I was little, but I always pictured you being this beautiful and amazing. You're my mother and I love you too." The once black sclerae in Kushina's eyes turned back into normal sclerae as her body glowed. Naruto realized that her Edo Tensei was ending and freed his mother. As she was freed, Kushina stood and walked over to her son. She grabbed him in a hug as her body continued to glow. "Thank you. Thank you for being born to us. Thank you for allowing me to be your mother and Minato to be your father. Stay safe, Naruto-chan," said Kushina as her soul began to ascend from the body it was attached to. "And I expect a ton of grandkids, Databane." Naruto blushed a serious shade of red as Kushina's soul finally vanished. Naruto smiled as he placed a hand on the tree he was standing on. Naruto forced all of his trees to recede into the ground as Naruto could now make out Makoto's body disappearing the same way as his mother did right in front of Sasuke. Naruto vanished in a shunshin to appear by his best friend. "You okay?" questioned Naruto, placing a hand on Sasuke's shoulder. "Yeah, just need a moment." "Naruto, do you feel that other presence in the room with Jiraiya?" asked Kurama as Naruto took a moment to notice 4 chakra signatures in the room. That's Jiraiya-sensei. Pa and Ma are there. Plus, who's that? That's not Orochimaru," thought Naruto in return as Kurama replied. "It's him," said Kurama as Naruto's eyes widened. Naruto's Jinchuriki cloak came back immediately as he vanished in a shunshin, leaving Sasuke in the room by himself. With Jiraiya, "So, you're who again?" questioned Jiraiya as he looked at a man in an Akatsuki cloak with an orange mask covering his face. "Hi, I'm Toby," said the masked man in a childish tone as he looked at Jiraiya. "Hello? So, why are you here?" questioned Jiraiya again as Fukasaku and Shima were still attached to his shoulders. Toby was about to answer before Naruto appeared above Toby with a Rasengan twice as big as himself. Naruto let the Rasengan detonate as a huge explosion of energy occurred that completely covered Naruto and Toby from Jiraiya. "Damn. Hey kid. You didn't dash." Whck Jiraiya grew another knot on his head from Shima hitting him. "What did I tell you about that language, Jiraiya-chan?" said Shima as Jiraiya nodded his head. The explosion from the Rasengan died down as Naruto was standing there all alone. "Naruto, that was so fast? I've never seen you like this," said Jiraiya as Naruto closed his eyes to focus on his sensing ability. Naruto turned his head abruptly to the left as he saw Toby sliding up through the floorboards. "That was so fast, Naruto-kun. You almost hit Toby with that jutsu." "Luckily Toby slipped and managed to evade," said Toby, making childish-like movements as he talked in that same childlike voice. "Who the hell is this guy? He acts like such a kid," said Jiraiya as Naruto shook his head no. Sasuke came into view beside Naruto as he wondered the same thing. "No, he's the progenitor of all of this. The reason why the Kyuubi attacked the night of my birth. The reason my parents died that night," said Naruto as the next part made Sasuke react in almost the same way as Naruto. "And the reason the Uchihas were subjected to scrutiny, leading to their want for a coup, leading to their inevitable demise. He is the reason for all of this." Toby immediately stopped acting like a child as his voice deepened considerably. "How smart of you, Kyuubi. I'm impressed. Did that pet of a bijou tell you that?" "Madara!" shouted Kurama angrily in Naruto's head as Naruto was being funneled with chakra from the angry bijou. Naruto's cloak turned more orange and began to crack the ground around him as he continued to look at Toby. "He did all of this, Naruto?" questioned Sasuke as Naruto nodded without turning his eyes off of Toby. Sasuke then noticed that Orochimaru laid on the ground a few feet away with a large stone sword stabbed through his chest. "Were you here to save him?" "Something like that. But then I remembered his betrayal against me and had a change of heart," said Toby as he looked at Naruto. Plus, I was hoping he'd be injured enough so I could take him and extract his bijou. However, that didn't pan out, I see. Well, if you want my bijou, then fight me for it. Right now, said Naruto as his eyes were now red and slit due to the influx of Kurama's chakra at the moment. Don't worry, Kyuubi. We shall meet again. However, I'll let one of my pawns deal with you. Until then, enjoy the little bit of time you have left in this world, said Toby with an increasingly ominous voice as he seemed to disappear in a vortex. Naruto, said Jiraiya as he could feel the unbridled power being brought forth by his student. Calm down. Naruto's chakra output began to stifle slightly as his eyes turned back to normal and his cloak began to disappear. Naruto then turned his eyes toward his sensei. Let's go home. I need Yugi-chan, said Naruto as he began to walk out of the base of Orochimaru's. Sasuke followed behind as Jiraiya stood still in the room alone with the dead body of Orochimaru. Jiraiya looked at Orochimaru's body once more as Fukasaku and Shima disappeared in puffs of smoke. Jiraiya's sage mode disappeared as he pulled out a scroll to seal his old friend's body into. Jiraiya followed after his student as he wanted to make sure he was okay. He'd never seen Naruto like this before. I see why Naruto was so angry. That guy killed his parents, said Jiraiya as he continued to catch up to his student. Unknown location. Rain poured outside at a fast rate as a man stood there alone watching over what appeared to be a city. The man had red, shoulder-length hair and rippled purple eyes. This man was the leader of the Akatsuki. Nagato, said the masked man as he appeared in a swirl behind the leader. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki is more powerful than before. Are you sure you can handle this? Nagato turned his head to look toward the masked man as his eyes seemed to glow. Once we capture 6, 7, and 8, I will handle that boy, no matter where he is. I'm more powerful as well, said Nagato as 6 figures came into view behind him. The figures all looked different except they all had orange hair and matching rippled purple eyes. We shall see, Nagato. Our plan will soon become real.